Hello my friends, this is the situation with the Russian supplies on occupied territory, a main road R280 that goes from Rostov-on-Don to Crimea itself. This image was taken by Ukrainian surveillance drone not that far away from Mariupol, and you know what? Ukraine intensifies those strikes. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not Mariupol, it's Melitopol, but the road is basically the same. This road is the critical one for the Russian supplies, but it is not safe. Not safe at all. Clement Mollin, who is a French analyst, looked through all of the videos presented in internet he was capable to find, and he says that totally since early May nearly 800 trucks and vehicles have been hit with a range of more than 20 kilometers away from the front lines. So for the last 2 months it's 15 trucks per day, but recently Ukraine expedited or upscaled the strikes on Russian logistics, making this week the deadliest one for the Russian supply, so 40 trucks destroyed per day this week, which is way more than usual. And the last week I heard the rhetorics from the Russian channels that they have the improvement in the situation. They put some of the protection for their trucks, like for example extra military units with AA cannons, basically trucks with anti-drone automatic machinery guns, but it is not done everywhere. It doesn't guarantee that some of the Ukrainian drone would sneak and hit a Russian supply truck or refueling truck. Russians simply cannot protect their vehicles, and in any sort of the perspective there is no Wunderwaffe which they might use to shut down all of the Ukrainian drones. So Ukraine has an upper hand here, Ukraine has an advantage, and of course Ukraine will use this time for even offensive actions. I'm sure about it. Well, those attack actions are already happening. I told you about the Ukrainian success in Zaporizhia direction just yesterday, but today Russians confirmed the very terrible situation for their even drone operators who are being deployed to Kamensk. They say that because Ukraine cut this breach and basically destroys all of the supply lines on the way, or most of them, the Russian army units in the region experience fuel shortage, and sometimes it's not enough for refueling their generators, some of the vehicles, and without generators they cannot power their electronic warfare, they cannot recharge batteries for the drones, so they fly less than usual. And knowing the Russian army command, they want to deploy drone operators almost at the very edge of the front lines. Well, Russians had to leave their positions because deliveries of the supplies, even to perform missions normally for them, they're absent. And they have to go further back, where they might find some of the fuel. Occasionally, some of the vehicles might deliver canisters for them and ammunition. My friends, just a short reminder, but it is very, very important. Please press like to this video just right now while you're watching it, and also subscribe for the channel. It is for free. And if you can, of course, you may join my Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or join YouTube membership by pressing button join. Thank you guys for your kind support. Without it, my job wouldn't be possible. You're amazing, you're fantastic, and let's continue with the video. And if you check the latest 3 updates from Michael's analyst, yes, Michael's, the link for his media is in the video description right below for his page. So Ukraine took the ground in Liman direction, the southern part of it, Ukraine took the ground in Zaporizhia, and Ukraine is moving forward also in Liman, but this is the northern part. So I expect that in June, Ukraine netto will gain more territory compared to Russia. Even though sometimes Russia still moves ahead with smaller infiltration attacks. For example, in Konstantinivka from Pokrovsk they moved just a little bit. In Ghulyapole direction they're for now more or less standstill, and they tried to advance towards Slavyansk. One of the Russian military groups went to Alexandrivka, but they were flatlined by Ukraine. So I'm almost sure that Russia will lose more land this time. And it looks like definitely Russia started to use the Kerch Bridge for the fuel supplies. They delivered 40 of the trucks, but it's not enough for Peninsula. More than 1 million people live in Crimea. Some sources say 2 million. So you may imagine 40 trucks is about nothing. And probably they will be just redirected to refuel emergency services, Russian military. For the average consumers, I believe that there will be no significant changes, and still there is a very critical situation with fuel in Crimea. Well, not just in Crimea, I would say it's all around Russia. They have fuel shortages elsewhere, even in the regions which were not attacked by Ukrainian drones with their own refineries, but now they have to work for entire Russia, and they have deficit too. This kind of the situation is elsewhere in Russia. Lots of the queues, some people stay for 12 hours, some even more. This is incredible how Ukraine managed to nail down the Russian fuel economy. And if people cannot move, if Russia will not refuel trucks, vehicles, it will bring devastation for the Russian economy. So it was a very smart move to hit all of those refineries. And Russian regime doesn't understand still the vulnerability of their economy. For such a big country as Russia, transportation is just crucial. But still Putin says that the special military operation goes according to plan and all of the objectives will be achieved. However, Russians themselves, they're not sure about it and they feel that something is wrong. Now we have some of the fresh images of the road R280. Some of the vehicle went to the hole that was organized by Ukrainian FP2 drones. You might see that those drones are really powerful. So Ukraine searches for the weak spots in this road, for example, those bridges across the narrow rivers, and Ukraine kabooms everything of that. As usual, the bridges are kind of old, they've worn down and they require some of the maintenance. Well, Ukraine provides that maintenance action. And this is one of the bridges that was devastated by several Ukrainian drone strikes in Crimea itself. M17 road, not that far away from Jankoy, and Jankoy is the very important hub for Russians. Well, it seems like they have some of the issues with supplies here. So not just those critically important bridges were hit in the northern part of Crimea, but also deeper in Crimea itself, and it's not all of the infrastructure that was hurt. There were many more strikes on Russian logistics and the Russian bridges too. Like for example, the railroad bridge was also hurt, and you cannot put a railroad pontoon bridge. It's not possible. So the train connection from Crimea to the north and from the north to Crimea is not possible. That's why Russia has the only line for the trains towards Crimea across the Kerch Bridge, and this is the final destination for all of those Russians who would like to visit the peninsula. I don't know why they want to do it, but still some of the crazy tourists, they would like to experience the shortages in Crimea. So Russia is not banning for Russians to visit Crimea. They're not closing the peninsula, even though they have just announced an emergency state in Sevastopol and entire Crimea. And Ukraine also cut supplies on the Russian territory. For example, this was the oil storage and fuel storage in Belgorod region, Russia. Here we see a huge fire, so Russia supplies their army groups in Kharkiv. So of course for Ukraine it's important to reach the positions or storages with the middle range strikes. Guys, at the same time I have to tell you about the bad news. For example, this MiG-29 was hit by Russia today. Well, Ukraine lost 2 of MiG-29s, one during the combat mission, the other one is out there on the ground. And you see, it's not the hoax, it's the real jet that was towed there. So far, I'm not sure what Russia used to hit that jet, maybe Iskander missile. Or maybe it was just a Lancet drone. The strike happened in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Well, Ukraine lost one more jet because of some of the mishap. It wasn't really shut down. Luckily, pilot ejected, everything is alright with him, but the jet was kind of the rare one. Some of the Ukrainian military bloggers and analysts are saying that another MiG was screwed up because of their own incomprehensible decisions and reactions. There haven't been such screw-ups for a long time, of course. Well, at least there was no human casualties this time. But this particular aircraft was screwed up in a really painful loss. I don't understand how such a thing could have been allowed to happen, one of our channels reported. Well, it seems like this analyst is saying about the ground kaboom that I showed you with the video. The aircraft has been exposed and it was not that far away from the front line because Dnipropetrovsk region is bordering Donetsk and Zaporizhia. So Russians were monitoring the situation with their surveillance drones and they launched something. Maybe Lancet, maybe Iskander, but the result is definitely very bad for Ukrainian aviation. -2 fighter jets for a single day, it's too much, guys. I think in this case it's not the problem with Russia, but with own organization. What is... this is the Russian infantry with the sticks. They're moving very slowly. This is not a slow-mo. This is a real video. Simply elderly people, disabled people. They go, sign the contract with the Russian army, and here they are, scrolling with the crutches, carrying lots of the flags in the backpacks to mount them. Jeez. Is it really the second army in the world? Just like that? It has never been in a human history. No one sent disabled people for attacks. They've been wounded, they were given sticks, and military command sends them again to the front lines for more and more infiltrations. Alexander Lunin, who threatened Putin with a military coup. and he demanded a meeting with Putin in Kremlin. He also wanted to go live to tell the reality of the situation in the Russian army and how they tortured their own soldiers. Well, today he was arrested. So he has been arrested. He was definitely met with the representatives of the Russian military command, some of the officers, before, and later he recorded this video and he told Putin, listen to me or you'll be cancelled. Moreover, yesterday Peskov mentioned this video. He says that they haven't seen it yet, but we heard something, some veteran recorded the video. So if Kremlin spokesman says about this stuff, it means that Putin knows Alexander Lunin probably. And now the main thing is he said that behind him there are more people who would like also to change something. But now Lunin was arrested, so I wonder about the rest of the group. Then you play Game of Thrones, you either win or die, there is no middle ground. Yes, and the case with Prigozhin shows that. Alright guys, about yesterday's Flamingo strike on one of the Russian military facilities in Volgograd. It was the most successful strike of Ukrainian Flamingo FP5 cruise missile. So totally 5 of them were launched and 3 made it to the target, nailing it completely. On the graph you might see several of the attacks of Ukraine performed before, so Ukraine launches usually 3, 4, 5 Flamingos, sometimes 6, and it's very rare that missile makes it to the target. For example, 1 of 6 missiles hit artillery arsenal not far away from Kotluban. Or for example, Oriol power plant, all of the missiles were shut down on the way. This cruise missile, it's very big simply. It has been spotted very well by the Russian air defense radars, and the signature is similar to the airplane. But here you see yesterday's attack, 5 missiles, 2 were shut down and 3 made it to the target. Fantastic. And I guess the main reason for this effectiveness is not the missile change itself, even though Ukraine upgraded precision and navigation, but the main factor is the absence of the Russian air defense. As I showed you in my previous video, there was nothing, no Panzer S-1, 0. Why? Well, because Russia needs air defense systems for Moscow protection and the Kerch Bridge. Those are 2 main spots for Russia to deploy air defense. Not on the front lines, no. And not to protect the factory in Volgograd that produces Iskander missiles, which is also very important for Russia, by the way. But no, Putin is the guy who should be protected the most, and he lives in Moscow. That's why Moscow requires protection. It's like with the ballroom of Donald Trump. I'm gonna build the ballroom and we're gonna protect Washington, D.C. He says exactly like Putin. And the Russian military bloggers are not okay with that as well. Watching footage of today leisurely flyby of Ukrainian FP5 Flamingo missiles over Volgograd, if our air defenses have degraded so much, what will happen if NATO countries decide to launch a massive strike? How many much more technologically advanced and faster missiles will reach their targets? And later on he calls for the action and stuff like that. What kind of action? What Putin might do? Physically flatline Zelensky, but it's not the easy task. Launching a nuclear missile on Ukraine as a Roman of calls, it will not solve the problem for Russia, and it will not make Russia victorious in this war, absolutely. It's the dead end for Russia. Putin should have never ever started this war at the first place. And here we have an exclusive photo from the place, this Volgograd facility, Titan factory. They were producing military components for the Russian army, vehicles, Iskanders and others. And 3 missiles, it's like 3 big aviation bombs, FAB 1000, so even if 1 out of 6 is reaching the target, it is still good, because those missiles, they're outstanding. Really powerful, and it seems like nothing is left from this building. It was already geolocated by oceans, so repair is not possible, and I just hope that Ukraine visits also Elaboga manufacturing facility, the biggest drone factory probably in the world. It's the place where Russia produces Shahed drones massively, or as they call them, Giran 2 or Giran 3. Some of the interesting report from Axios. According to 2 officials who attended the G7 summit last week, Trump expressed his displeasure with Putin during the summit and even hinted that he might abandon Anchorage Accords. Well, Rubio said that there was no any sort of the agreement, it was just a meeting. And Russians were telling that they agreed on something. Well, maybe they agreed directly with Donald Trump. So Donald Trump promised to pressure Ukraine to capitulate, but Ukraine somehow doesn't agree. So according to Axios, under those agreements, the United States agreed to Russia's demand that Russia control the Donbas region as a part of the deal. Yes. As for the G7 meeting, one of the officials said that there were doubts in Europe about whether the American leader would actually take steps to pressure Russia. Well, my answer is no. Donald Trump, while he is the president of the United States, he will never pressure Russia that much. Yeah, sometimes Trump says something pleasant, but his reaction is not that harsh towards Russia. And I do not believe that he is really capable to press Russia hard. The only variant to do it is like supply Ukraine with all of the military support as it was with the previous White House administration. Well, even that wasn't enough for Ukraine, really, to be honest, but at least like that. But Donny will never do it. Well, I would be really surprised if it comes to that from the current White House administration. I don't believe that. But that's the only leverage to act on Russia. Not those sanctions, Russia adapts to those, but the direct military support of Ukraine without any sort of the Pearl programs directly from the United States factories. Ammunition goes to Ukraine. That is how it should be done. And the United States, as the security guarantee country for Ukraine, because they signed this memorandum, they should do it. It's their obligation for Ukraine. But instead, Donny continued to tell about mysterious $350 billion that Joe Biden sent to Ukraine. Yeah, of course. So yeah, there could be some of the positive rhetorics in the press, but I don't believe in a global change of Donald Trump's vision on the war in Ukraine. A situation in Trump Truth Social. He is a sick person, like he belongs to the mental institution and it is visible, I guess, for everyone, well, maybe except his loyal cult supporters, but this is too much for average human, and he is the president of USA. Wow. Alright, my friends, it's all what I want to say in this video, but stand by for more updates. And guys, thank you so much for your kind support on Patreon, and please join me there if you can. The link for it is in the video description right below, or you may join YouTube membership by pressing button join. You are making this job possible on my channel. I'm filming videos every day, sometimes 2 videos per day. Thank you so much once again. Also, don't forget to press a like to this video, subscribe for the channel. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.